Now we're going to work on getting the sheet metal down for the floor of the flatbed. This silage box is going to be 22 foot long. I've got 3/16 plate that I'm going to use on the floor. I've got 4x8 sheets and 5x8 sheets, and they're going to go crossways. 3 4-footers and 2 5-footers works out to be 22 feet. We'll have to take one of the last sheets and cut a little bit off of it because these sheets are a little wider than 4 foot and they're a little longer than 8 foot. We are just a touch over 8 foot in between. The cross members, we cut them at 96 3/16 of an inch so that we only had to make 2 cuts per 24 foot length of tube. Being that the sheets are longer than 8 foot, you still have to cut some off. Now you can get this sheet metal, you can get it 8x20 or 8x24, one whole piece. I've done that before, and some other guys still do it, but it's a little harder to handle, but at least you don't have the seams in the middle. I used to try to put a cross member where there was a seam. Being that the sheets are a little more than 4 foot, you end up screwing yourself up a little bit. So we just end up putting the seam wherever it lays. 3/16 welds together fine, whether it's on top of a cross member or in between. So we'll go ahead and get started here. We're going to cut this with a plasma cutter. I'm actually going to use the plasma cutter that I bought used off of eBay, my original plasma cutter, if you were following along here a couple months ago. It ended up needing to be replaced, and I didn't want to spend $5,000 or $6,000 on a new one. I got that one for $750. I do have my Harbor Freight Special. That's over underneath the shelving unit there, but that's just as a spare, and I didn't want to be down to one, so I found this Hypertherm Power Max 600. The other one that I had was an 800. It's a little bit smaller, but it's going to work fine for doing stuff like this. This is really the thickest metal that I'll end up cutting with the plasma cutter for the most part anyways, is 3/16. And it should walk through that rather nicely. So we might as well go ahead and start cutting plate and getting it set into place here. Well, we have all the sheet metal down on the floor. This was kind of a bonus build here. The plate was exactly the width that I needed it. I only had to cut off this front plate. I had to cut about 3-4 inches off of it. And these plates were exactly the width that I needed them. So what I've done is I've put it up high enough to get it on jack stands so I could get on a creeper and roll underneath it to tack the sheet metal to the cross members. You can kind of see a burn there, and bang, all the way down through each side and then down through the metal. So what we're going to do now is we are going to flip it over. We'll get it down off the jack stands. I've got a chain already hooked up. I ended up actually Tim went down to Syracuse the other day, pick up some new log chain. We use log chain on our alley scrapers to go between the arms. Instead of buying new chain for the alley scraper arms, what we do is we replace the various log chains that we have here on the farm with new chain about every year, and then we cut up the old chains to use on the alley scrapers. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. In other words, sometimes we have these chains stretched a little bit and the quick link doesn't like to drop in the links. If the link is stretched out, then it makes it too narrow and the quick links won't drop in the link itself. So this black chain here is grade 100, and there's some gold chain over on the floor. That's grade 70. Most of the time we get away with 3/8 chain. We get into the bigger stuff, we have to use 1/2 inch, and we've also got a cable, but most of the time we're just pulling out light stuff. So we've got a guy that we buy all of our chain and stuff from. It's Shane of Syracuse, and he's got everything you need. He makes cables for towing companies. He unbraids the cable and braids it all back together and then puts the actual crimp on it. He's the real deal. He's got stuff for rigging like you wouldn't believe. Chains, cables, you name it. So why don't we go ahead and get this thing rolled over. This green forklift, I need to do something with it. I can't deal with all the oil spills. There's an oil slick on the floor there, the little one there, a little one here. The lift cylinders are leaking on it, and we just don't have time to pull it out of service. I don't know how long it's going to take to rebuild them cylinders, but we really can't afford to be down with it. So we might have to kick it out of the shop here and start using that old yellow one. At least that doesn't leak oil at all. However, I don't want to be down to just relying on the yellow one because there's no telling when that could go down. This is a 1983 model. The yellow one's a 1963. Let's go ahead and get this flipped over. We've jaw-jacked enough here. Well, we've got this rolled over. This will give us a chance to go ahead and weld the sheet metal down to the cross members. We've got to put some gussets in, and we've also got to weld the cross members to the rub rail. And then once we get it welded, we'll carry it outside, wash it, and then paint it. I did quite a bit of welding underneath, just rolling around on a creeper, and I probably could have welded the whole thing that way. However, I like to paint the underneath before we get building the rest of the box. It's just easier to paint it in this position than it is to try and paint it crawling underneath it. Now today is Sunday, and being that I am a Ford owner, I end up working on this truck about every Sunday. I guess that's the norm, but we're really not working on the truck. We've got to replace the gauge. It was supposed to be a gallon meter. That's the way it was sold. That's the way it was packaged. However, we put it on and it seems to be that it is in liters. Now I pumped out some fuel with it, and I was thinking that it had tenths. I guess a few of you had brought it to my attention that it is actually in liters. It says total liters here. I noticed that before I put it on there, but I just figured that, you know, maybe, just maybe, the Chinese translation got screwed up a little bit. Now, we pumped out 2 5-gallon pails worth of fuel. There ended up being like, I don't know, 4.5 to 4 3/4 gallons in each pail. So it would have been maybe 9.5 gallons altogether. And I can't tell if we've got 27 or 36 there. I can't tell what that reads. Even if, well, if it was 36, I guess that would be closer to being somewhat accurate as far as it actually reading in liters, but I don't think it's accurate enough anyways. I don't know, a few of you guys said that you can calibrate this. I don't see anywhere. Maybe you can do it right, there is a screw right there. I don't know what that is, but at any rate, we're gonna pull it off of there. And we have one on the bench here that actually reads in gallons, says total gallons. Now this is a 4-digit display. Looks like it's made by the same Chinese company, same cardboard box, and whatever. So this is a 4-digit with a tenth, so this will read up to 999 gallons on the top part, and then the total counter here is 8 digits, 6, 2, 4, 6, 8 digits. So that, yeah, should work for us, I'm hoping. Now, I bought 2 of these gauges that are wrong. I bought 2 of them. I went to Amazon. I bought them from Amazon. I ended up getting a return label so I could return them. And I don't know if I filled the form out wrong or what, but they ended up sending me 2 more. So I've got 4 of these all together that have to go back. So I kept the original box, which I have found here lately that you want to keep the original box for all this stuff. I ended up getting this saw back the other day. They had a bad armature in it. This is a Evolution saw. Should be top of the line. I should have kept the box to that, but I didn't. However, they were able to get it fixed. So let's go ahead and switch this out. I don't really like the fact that I have pumped fuel through it already, because we're going to lose a little bit of fuel here. We're just going to have to deal with it. It'll wash off, but we'll have to get the filter housing off of there and take the fitting out of the gauge. And we basically more or less have to disassemble that whole thing in order to get the gauge off, get it drained, and get the new one on there. And then we'll test it out, and hopefully it's somewhat accurate. Now, I also had been getting comments here about every time we work on this truck on how light duty these cables are. Well, I don't know what you guys are referring to, but yeah, they look okay to me. So let's get on it here. Well, we've got this one gauge that reads in liters removed, and you guys brought it to my attention that this does not read in tenths. And I think you're right. It looks as though, now that I've got this tipped, I can tip it up. It looks like it's starting to roll over 38 liters. And if I pumped just under 10 gallons of fuel or thereabouts, it's pretty well accurate in liters. However, I don't know how handy that is, because you know, you're gonna be off a quarter of a gallon all the while because it doesn't read the tenths. How important is that? It's really not that important. If you run through 75 gallons of fuel, it doesn't really matter if you ran through 75.5 gallons or 75 3/4. You burned roughly 75 gallons of fuel. Now this gauge does read in tenths, and like I said earlier, it's a 4-digit. It'll go up to 999 gallons and 9/10. And this says that it's in gallons. Quite a bit of a difference between these two gauges. Both of them are made in China. However, this seems to be of a higher quality. Now on the box and in the description of this gauge, it said gallon meter. And it says right there, transfer gallon meter. And it's just, I don't know if it's packaged wrong or what, or the Chinese to English translation kind of lacked a little bit of something, but it made a little bit of a mess on the truck, not much. So we're gonna go ahead and get some pipe tape, thread tape on this 3-dowel and on this nipple here, get it threaded into the gauge, get it hooked up on the pump, and then we'll pump some fuel to see if how accurate this one is. I don't know if that bronze colored screw is what you turn to adjust it or not, but we'll just have to kind of play with it and see how it goes. That one's got the same bronze screw. So let's go ahead and get it installed. Well, we have our gauge all installed, so we might as well go ahead and try this out. So we got that returned to 0. Handle had water in it, scared me. So we've got a clean 5-gallon pail there. Working very nicely, it looks like. Might be reading a little light, but it did have some air pumped through it. So we might have to dump this pail and then try it again. So it kicked off at 4 gallons, and I don't know, there's a little over 4 gallons in that pail. I had the nozzle down in it, that's why it kicked off. Oh, let's see here. It's got some bubbles there, so let's just fill this up a little fuller. I think that's about where 5 gallons would be on the actual pail itself. Yeah, it's 4.9. I would have to say that that is pretty accurate. I don't recall how full these pails were of fuel when, or hydraulic oil. We used this hydraulic oil on Western Star. So we'll go ahead and get that poured back into the tank here, and maybe take and get this washed off. It's got some fuel in the back of it here. So we'll yeah, get on with the rest of the day here, I guess. Well, these guys are going right to town with welding this floor down to the cross members. They've got the cross members welded to the rub rail. I've got material that I'm cutting for gussets, so I've got to get that finished cutting so that they can get them welded in there, and we'll show you what Jared's working on out here. He's getting this 8110 cleaned up so you can order some brake lines, some air conditioner lines, and just whatever else like that. Just look at the amount of crap that is sitting on top of the transmission and fuel tank. This nasty, dirty, muddy stuff. Yeah. This tractor's going to be a little lighter when he gets done with it. Degreasing. The reason why he's not using the Easy Clean pressure washer is I'm waiting for a transformer for it. So it works, it just doesn't have any heat. Well, we've got the welding all done on the flatbed. You just got to get the welders picked up and moved out of the way. And then what we'll do is we'll get in behind it with the forklift, come in front of it with the telehandler, and we'll just carry it outside. Once it's outside, we can go around it with a pressure washer. What we want to do is we want to get the pickling oil off of the iron. Mainly the tubing. The tubing has the most amount of that oily stuff, grimy stuff on there. And if you don't get that stuff off of there, the paint's not going to stick to it. So we need to get that cleaned off, and then we'll get the bottom painted. Hopefully it's dry so that we can bring it back inside and paint it tonight so that we can go around it tomorrow and put posts up and sheets and whatnot like that. So we want to check on Jared out here, see how he's making out. Looks like he's about done. I kind of need this pressure washer anyhow. Hose ain't got nothing left on it. I don't know if that's like that or not. Is that like that? You see that hose? No rubber on it? Or did it come off when you washed it? Like that? Well, looks quite a bit cleaner, huh? Wow. We got something leaking, right? Where that oil came from? Yeah. Yeah, I would suspect that that hose had something on it. Yeah. Well, we're done with this flatbed. I want to carry that outside here in a while and get that washed. Huh? How much you got left? I just got to put water on it and steps, so that's fine. So he's worried about losing his pressure washer here. But yeah, as you can see, we're quite a bit cleaner. He's got more that he wants to do here. Got some stuff down in there. But it's a lot better than it was. We've had to replace brake lines on this before. Like this line here, we have replaced. And I don't know if we did any of these other ones or not. I want to say there was one of these other ones we did, because I want to say there was a mount up in here that we took off that we could not get back on. So yeah, feeder hoses. Yeah, well, we better get this thing outside so that we can go through the washing process on it. Well, we're just going to carry this outside the door. We've got the forklift in underneath it on the rear. Alex is going to come in with the telehandler, get in underneath the front, and then we're just going to carry this outside together. We'll set it on the ground. Then we can get alongside it, pick it up, and kind of get it vertical. Wash it off, rinse it off, and then let it sit outside to dry for an hour or two. And then we can bring it back inside and paint it tonight. We've got blocks of wood in underneath it, so we need to have her lift up and we'll get them blocks of wood out. You gonna run the camera or the forklift? Well, now that we got it outside, we can get it clean, flip it this way, flip it that way, get it all washed off, and then carry it back inside. Could I entertain you in just getting that wet? And then I could spray my stuff on and let it sit for 20 minutes and... Okay, you gotta do that now? Okay, alright. Okay, alright. Alright, so I gotta get to work here. Well, we've got this flatbed part of the silage body all washed. I'm just gonna let that kind of air dry here, and then we're gonna carry it back in the shop here in a few minutes, and we can throw some paint on it. Jared's got this tractor just about done. Looks like he's hitting it with some soap. Yeah, looks nice with the soap on it. It's all soapy. rinsed off. And we need to maybe get this inside. Looks like he's getting a little soap on it. Well, now we're going to carry it inside. We're going to go ahead and film this because I got one guy that comments every once in a while that all I do is talk and I never get anything done. Well, just let me let you in on a little secret here. This is going to look the same bringing it in as it was taking it out. However, this is just going to be in reverse. So, we're going to film this going back into the shop. Right, Sarah? Yep. It's actually going to be like we put it. I could just take the same clip and put it in reverse.
I know.
Yeah, that's what I should do.
Yeah.
Alright, this has to air dry a little bit and then I can paint it. So I'm just going to go around it with a blowgun and blow it off. It would have dried off faster outside, but we had the pressure washer going right next to it. So we'll blow this all off, let it air dry a little longer, and then we can paint it. Right, Alex? Yeah. Well, we've got this inside here. It's almost dry. The girls ended up bringing some fans over from the house. It would have been ideal to have left it outside. Things dry a lot faster in the air movement outside. However, it's starting to rain a little bit now. And it wouldn't have helped to have left it out there. So we've got a little bit of moisture on this one side. We've got to get that dry and then we can go ahead and paint it. I've been running around here now and just cleaning off this rub rail. Now, we're coming into the end of March and we have now picked up a new channel sponsor. And Labatt, you're going to see Labatt here from now on. Bush's contract ended here the end of March, and Labatt said that they would like to feature their products here in the video. So you'll see Labatt around here for a little while. I don't know how long we're going to see them for because they really didn't tell me how long it was going to be. Now I got a comment in a video back a while ago. The guy said, "Hey, are you really drinking, or are you just moving that can around?" Well, you never know. I mean, we might be just moving that can around. So study this can real well. Here's the barcode on there. It's 62067054143. So if I turn that just right and you guys see this can in a video, you'll know that it's the same can featured in the videos, you know, every video. Now, we like to keep things safe here, and we don't condone drinking on the job. This is just kind of a, would you call it a leisure activity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's something you have at home after the day.
Right, so we save this for when we're done working. I know you see the beer cans will be featured throughout the video, but they're empty. Now, we are not allowed, once in a while, this guy will come in with a glass bottle. We're not allowed to have glass bottles in the shop. They're dangerous. The reason why they're dangerous, we're all shooting a breeze here at night. We set our empty down like this, and then we come in the next day, and you might, you know, tip this over onto the floor, and you got glass now on the floor.
I'll give you an excuse to sweep the floor.
Yeah. And, you know, if Wrangler Star would happen to stop in, he likes to work in his bare feet, that would create a hazard.
Surely.
So this is, we're demonstrating that this can is empty. So, yeah. Yeah, empty can. You know what
I bring my beer in here because it's not a sponsor of the show.
Right, yeah.
But I have seen my particular beer that I like in cans. I think it was up in the store over there, and I hadn't seen that ever in that particular beer that I like.
Yeah.
I cannot mention that because of the sponsorship we have here.
Yeah, we've got to see how these guys like things here. So this was a favorite of mine way back in the day, and now we get back into them. So this is where we're going to leave off with you on this video. I want to thank everybody for watching, and we'll catch you at the next one. Right, Timothy? I still got a couple of viewers that want you to take a camera with you for today. So, yeah.
That could be interesting.
Oh, why not?
I think he's got enough to worry about.
You got that pressure washer still hooked up? I'd wash you off. You want me to wash you off? He's been rolling around in the ground all day.
What's gonna paint that, or just getting a real?
Oh, don't let in on any secrets here, Tim. We can't give these guys any ideas.
Well, you know, I know it's a good thing to clean because it's like a new tractor.
Yeah. I don't know what we're gonna do with it. We're gonna throw a little bit of paint on it, just splash some on the wheels quick and whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to get it clean now, because, you know.
Yeah.
Grease and stuff like that could cause fire if there's a problem.
Yeah.
You got to expose, so.
Yeah.
Almost looks like a bog or a swamper.